And probably we should be live. YouTube usually is like a couple seconds late, but usually
Yep, we're live.
we can just start the proceedings.
Yeah. And I see Shannon came and said hi already.
Hello, hello, hello. So, what do we want to talk about first? The books that we are reading?
Yeah, let's do that. Like, where are we? Because you were mentioning that you're almost done with your TBR.
Yeah, pretty, like, I would say like 85% done. Like, I finished most of the things that I was planning to, which is great, like, kind of weird to me because I'm very much a mood reader.
Uh-huh.
So, usually when I plan out a TBR, the moment I publish it, my mind is like, you don't want to read any of those things. So I'm really surprised that I have actually committed and been able to finish all the things.
No, that's pretty good because I think so I just picked up a new book today, but I think I was like at four, like I had four left and then picked up another one. And I know I only have 2 weeks for my whole library hold. And I'm like, well, this might be getting thrown in there really fast.
Yeah, I mean, I might actually be like able to, like, if I have time, because I am going like next week I'm going to like work remotely because I'm going to like luckily my job is very flexible with like remote working and stuff because because I'm flying um, to the US in a week. I want to quarantine as much as possible before the flight so that like I'm gonna do the like rapid test tomorrow and then hopefully I will do like another rapid test like a day before the flight or so that I can make sure that I'm not bringing in any unwanted guests while I travel. So,
Mm-hmm.
I will most likely have more time to like finish things this upcoming week because I don't have to commute.
Fair enough.
So
Yeah, I know since I've taken off for the full week for Worldcon, I was like, if anything that I don't actually get finished before the end of the month, we'll just roll over because then I'll have more reading time.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
hey, Maria, I
we
forgot to
should
ask you to
introduce
introduce.
ourselves. I'm just so used to like just coming and hanging out
Yeah.
with like people. So anyway, yeah, I'm Reija. My channel is The Bookfinch, and I am one of the hosts of New Releaseathon as well. So thank you, Rachel, for having me today.
Yeah. And then my name is Rachel. I know Rachel's a very popular name for the 80s and 90s. So that's why I went with RK Stumbling Bear. Stumbling Bear is my real last name. My husband is Kiowa. So
It's your real last name?
my real last name. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually a mistranslation of the chief's actual name. But when he said, because he spoke English, when he told them that's wrong, they go, well, you can take that or you can take Smith. And he was like, okay, we'll stick with something towards my culture. Yeah.
That is so stupid, though. Like, why? Like, why would you even? Why would someone like? Okay, I know why because bigotry, but also
Yes.
like how would you even suggest like you're a Smith now? Like that is so rude in so many ways.
Oh, yes. Yeah. All right. And so Shannon also said that she was a mood reader. I am as well, which is probably why I'm like, I still have like 4 books left, and that will be fun. And then Maya joined us and Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. I mean, my last name, which well, I'm not going to share it for privacy reasons, but my last name is the unfortunate accident of the 1900 like in the like 19th century um, because Finland was first colonized by Sweden and then Russia. In the 19th century, there was this push towards building a Finnish national identity. So a lot of the like original like Swedish uh, family lines started translating their last names to Finnish. So my family's original last name, like my father's family's original last name was Beck, and then
Okay.
they translated it, and nowadays it's just stupid.
Fair enough. Wow. I'm gonna say my mom's maiden name is also a weird. It's an anglicized, Americanized, or written out version of the Irish. It was Irish name of a Scottish name, and so it's been really interesting going back and trying to do. I like to do genealogy, so it's been interesting to go back and be like, how is this actually spelled? And asking people who are Irish and
Yeah.
Scottish. So this is how the name is pronounced. From what we understand, it's still pronounced this way, but the spelling was changed.
Yeah, I've my mom's maiden name. That one I can share because I don't. That's my not my actual surname. So um, my mom's maiden name is Suomalainen, which literally means Finnish. So if I had that name, I would be called Reija Finnish.
Kind of goes with the book Finch almost.
Yeah, I just find it hilarious though. But yeah, it's interesting about like naming translations because like for example, my great grandpa was like he was from Karelia, but he was from like closer to the Russian side of Karelia. Well, all of Karelia is Russian side now, but back then, and he had a Russian surname, which he also like basically like transliterated or translated into like Finnish when he relocated from the area. So that there's been like a lot of tradition of like trying to like make the names more Finnish. Like there's been like a pressure towards being more homogenous in terms of like culture in this area in the like past 150 or so years.
Okay. Maybe kind of wanting to blend in, be like, this is where we are now, this is who we are.
Yeah. Well, prior to that, it was like you had like all these like tribes essentially, like we talk about Finnic tribes, and there wasn't a lot of like what you'd call like national identity or cohesion, because like everyone was just like um, the identity was like basically they had the Finnish identity was existing in these tribes, and then like above that was the like we are under like Swedish rule. So there was more of a like being a part of something like Swedish or being a part of something Russian was more of an identity than actually being Finnish, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm enjoying the history.
I don't know why I always end up talking about it, but it's like I just find all these things interesting, like when all these sorts of unifying things with other cultures. For example, when Worldcon was in Dublin and we went to Ireland, I was so like fascinated with all the similarities between like Irish history and Finnish history, like the experiences with like a bigger empire, like basically ruling over a smaller entity. So like I always find it fascinating to talking about these different things. Like for example, the pressure to conform to like a um, to the norms set by the any sort of governing body that is trying to rule over people. Like I just find it endlessly fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I just always find it much more interesting to find common ground and share stories and stuff because that's how like we can relate to each other instead of like trying to find like things that makes us separate.
Also, since we're both fantasy and science fiction readers, a lot of what happens in history and present day gets put in those books, and they're topics people can
Exactly.
talk about. All right.
I mean, specifically, I'm continuing on with the same ones that I was continuing last week, and this one, what is left hand, what is right? This one specifically is inspired by the ancient Finnish culture, like in the like let's say even before the Viking era. So it's been really interesting reading this one. And then this one also like seriously I think takes inspiration from like various immigrant experiences, because they're like basically all of the like both of the point of view characters are Latine, and like there's this sort of like literally a kind of fish out of water experience in this book, which I find interesting.
I'm currently reading on my iPhone. That's where my Kindle is. Notorious Sorcerer by Davinia Evans, and that's a history. I'm only a few chapters in, so that's what I'm working on.
How do you find reading on an iPhone? Like, is it easier? Like, because I've heard like both of these things, like people who struggle with an e-reader because they find the like uh, backlight settings to be like um, not good enough for like to like prolonged reading. But I've also heard that people don't like to read on like iPads and iPhones or like smartphones because the light is too bright. So
Well, so I have it switched so it's a black background and white lettering because I
ah,
learned that was easier for me to read. Um, we also have a rule of no technology in our bedrooms, so I only read on my iPhone if I'm in the living room, if I'm at work, or if I'm like at a doctor appointment. So I'm usually a little bit slower when it comes to ebook reading, but otherwise I have no problem with it. I find it's easier that way if I'm to take books when I'm traveling, but otherwise I prefer physical.
I feel like I have just recently found the glory of an e-reader, but I still also prefer the physical like physical aspect of like just turning the page. There's just something in it that's more magical to me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think all of the books that I've finished so far this month have been physical. And I'm now currently, like I said, I'm reading Notorious Sorcerer, and then I'm buddy reading with Kristen, um, The Memory Librarian, and that's an ebook as well. So I have to make sure like I read them at separate times so I don't get confused on which one I'm reading.
By who is the memory librarian?
So that's the one that is inspired by Dirty Computer by Janelle Monáe.
Oh yes.
I'm not sure if I got her name right, but yeah, so I thought it was a song, and it ends up it's actually a movie, and it's all talking about conformity, and there's a society that wants you to take away your memories so that you will be the same thing. Everyone will just be the same. And so this is set in that same world, but from the characters who are like, yeah, we don't fit in that society. And everyone is genderqueer. So it's a lot of fun to read.
Oh, I mean, is there like is it a novel or an anthology? Because I remember that Janelle Monáe had an anthology that was
It is, yeah, no, it's an anthology. It's
yeah.
six
Mm.
stories, and they're listed by her and other people as well. So it's
Yeah,
a
I
good
because
collaboration.
that was one on my like it's one of my anticipated releases. So like I'm really excited to hear what you end up like thinking about it, because like I've been also wanting to read it. Yeah.
We've read the first three so far, and the I've enjoyed all three of them. I think one of the ones coming up, the co-author is Dr. Eve L. Ewing, who's actually one of the guest of honors at ChicagoCon or ShyCon. So I
Oh,
was like, oh, I've never read anything by her. This is perfect. Thanks, Kristen.
I also feel that sometimes when especially you have like guests of honor appearing at conventions, I always like try to even if I don't have time to read like a full-on novel, if they have some short fiction or like poetry or something out, or even like an essay or an interview, I always try to like get myself acquainted a little bit with the guests of honor, because I just find that also to be a very nice way to like know about more authors. I mean, I'm pretty sure like you can make a cool story about your name.
Yes.
I mean, probably.
Yeah. And then I did put up the question for the audience if they have any favorite books for this month
I,
so
s-
far.
I
And
see that
Shannon,
Bookworm Dreams also said that Legends and Lattes is one of their favorites, which I
mhm.
love the idea of it because like I haven't read it, but I saw the cover and I've heard people talking about it, and it just sounds so cozy that I want to read it, but also but also I get this really stupid thing which is completely irrational, but when something is getting so much hype, I start to resist picking it up.
I get that. Yeah. I do have it requested from my library, but I'm like number 4 of 2 copies. So I'm like, okay, that will be probably later this fall, which might be nice for a cozy read at that time. Yeah, Kristen, I just picked it up from the library this morning. So I finally get to read it.
Should we do a sprint? What's the consensus in the chat? Should we go for a short sprint first or a longer one? So, what say you, short or long? I might start with this one because I only have like an incy bit left, so I might be able to like finish this quick and bask in the glory of dopamine that I get from finishing a thing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm at the beginning of all my books because I just finished them over the past couple of days, the ones that were close. So,
Well, since it is pretty quiet in the comments, I would probably say that longer sprints. Should we do 20 minutes?
yeah, let's go ahead and do a 20-minute one.
Yeah. Like that's a pretty like nice and even. Like it isn't too long, but it isn't too short. So will probably get us to a good head start with the reading. And also, what is the audience reading this evening? What books are you planning on picking up and making progress in?
Sorry. Yes, I was about to say, Maria and I have talked about the books that we have in the works. What about you guys?
Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. What is that? I might look it up.
I think that's a sci-fi horror from what I remember.
A ghost ship, a salvage crew, and unspeakable horrors. And the cover has like an astronaut glove in like one of those ship windows. Yeah, I mean, sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, tagline, ghost ship, salvage crew. So yeah. Okay, if everyone is ready, I'm going to go ahead and start.
See you in 20. Well,
You were right.
reading's over.
That meow did startle me.
Yes. It's like I'm expecting a different kind of like alarm. So when it meows, I'm like, what's happening? Even though the meow is completely on theme with the timer.
Right. Yes. Oh, I am loving Notorious Sorcerer. That's what I was working on. It's over here making me laugh just how people are interacting with each other. I'm like, oh, this author did great. I think this is actually a debut as well. So yeah, continues like this. I'm going to be buying my own copy, definitely.
Well, this is having some very different situations. Like there is a battle that's happening, and one side character has already died, and I am suspecting that one point of view character just died as well.
Oh
So
no.
it's like really intense. And also like there's like what 20 pages left, and I have this weird suspicion that the main couple in this book, they, like I am not sure how it is that they are going to end up together, if they are going to end up together at all, because basically what this boils down to, this final climax, is that the tribe of the, or the, well, not tribe, the village of the male lead or other male lead has basically come to the main female lead's village to raid it and also to steal her as a bride, essentially. So I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to like pan out in a romantic way because I mean, as if I was the female lead, I would be very pissed off if someone came to raid my village and took me forcibly as a bride. It just doesn't sound like something you would do to anyone you claim to love and like.
Right? No. That definitely seems like, hey, uh, would make you think that you're going to be enemies.
Yes,
And at
but
the end of
it's
the book as well.
yeah, but also like this whole like love story is kind of they entered into this bargain through kind of like a magical connection, like
Okay.
there was magic involved, so it's not clear that is it actually like love that's spurring them on, or is it this like kind of sinister dark magic. But it's like there's only like 20 pages. Like I'm wondering how is this author going to like pull everything off,
Yeah. Is
because
this
20 pages is very little.
right? Is this a standalone or is this like a first in a series?
um I am thinking that it might be a standalone.
So really, how is this going to end?
Yes, because nobody has like talked about this being a series. I mean, it could be, but there is absolutely no indication anywhere that it is. So I am working with the assumption that this is a standalone. A lot of Finnish fantasy starts out as standalones and then works its way to series if they're popular enough.
I, I I think I noticed that in a lot of first books, it feels like that's a complete story. And I think that's why we always talk about, oh, second book has middle book
Yes.
syndrome, or it definitely feels like a setup book because it the author didn't know they were going to get a second book,
Yeah.
and now we're connecting it all to the bigger plot.
And I'm also thinking like obviously there are exceptions, like in Finland there are a lot of like fantasy authors who definitely work in like an epic scope and do like longer series, but I feel like the literary culture that we have tends to be more focused on self-contained stories. So it is like I feel like it is like more uh, common to have series that are consisted of companions, like kind of like Becky Chambers' Wayfarers, than
Okay.
have like these continuous epic series. Like obviously there are exceptions as well, but at least that's what I have noticed while I've been reading. But then again, I might be just gravitating towards those series as well that are more like each individual entry is a self-contained story.
Possibly. I feel like in English, a lot of people go for series first, and so it can make it a little bit harder or refreshing to find a standalone when you're like, I have all these open series.
Yes, I mean that's why I like A.M. Macklemore as well, because all of their stories are standalones. It's like you get this one book, this is the story, that's all there is, and they explore like themes that are kind of similar throughout different books, but like the stories themselves are like this is self-contained and it's wrapped up, and you don't have to worry about it. And I love that because it always feels like for example, I'm still struggling with Martin with the damn Song of Ice and Fire. I'm never going to get a conclusion to this series. I already know, but it's like there's this sliver of hope that maybe someday he will be sick of producing multi-million HBO shows and actually wants to continue writing. But you know,
Maybe. Yeah. I, I'll be honest, I DNF'd that first book. It,
it's not for everyone,
right,
honestly.
no. I I'm not going to consider this a spoiler because the show's been out for a long time, but when Bran got pushed out of the tower window, he was the only character I had connected to in the book, and I did throw the book across the room. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, Bran is one of my favorite point of view characters, and his trajectory throughout the series is something that pushes boundaries in many different ways, and it's also very uncomfortable. I will say that, mm, for example, like in the first book, A Game of Thrones, um, Martin clearly did not understand dwarfism. For example, when he was writing Tyrion, he like there is a significant difference to how Tyrion Lannister is written in A Game of Thrones versus the subsequent books, because clearly someone brought a criticism to Martin that the way Tyrion has dwarfism would impact his mobility and various other issues. And then Martin corrected his writing around that. Similar thing actually happened with Bran with regards to like his paralysis, like how he was written and stuff. So like I especially having had multiple rereads of the books, I do find it interesting that he has clearly like been sensitive to criticism and uh, has been open to changing up how he wrote the character,
Mhm.
which I found interesting and also slightly confusing because it is in contention with how he acts sometimes
Yes.
online. He comes across as very like, I am an old man on the internet. I don't
Mhm.
understand these newfangled things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe you should just stick to writing and no commentary.
Yes. Yeah. It's like not every author needs to have a presence online. It's okay. Just
Yes,
put the books out. People will
yes.
read.
Also, nowadays, I feel like I would actually prefer if authors like, can everyone just write under a pen name and be in a hut, and then they can have an online presence under their real name, and we will never actually hear about who these authors actually are, or something like that. I mean, obviously, I'm kidding, but sometimes when I'm like, I log on to Twitter and there's some drama about someone new, and I'm like, I loved it when people didn't feel the need to air out all their stupid opinions online.
Yes. Yeah. For that reason, my husband does not have a phone, and the only social media he uses is Discord. He uses that for his gaming, but he's like, I'm not
He
interested. He's like,
has
the rest
he
of that's
has
real.
done he has done the smart choice.
Yep.
He has done the incredibly smart choice.
Hmm.
Because like I have okay, I don't have Facebook anymore. I completely purged myself off Facebook. And sometimes I get super annoyed when people are like, well, we have this Facebook group, you should join. And I'm like, no, I will
Right.
never go back. And I'm seriously considering like I used to love Instagram, but now that like the algorithm and everything has like been skewed and stuff, and I don't actually like. I feel like I don't see the people I want to see on Instagram. I constantly like when I'm scrolling my feed, I would expect to see people I follow,
Hmm.
but I keep seeing these like unnecessary videos from creators I have no idea about, and I'm like, but this is my feed. I want only the people I follow. If I want to find out new creators, I will go to the like explore section and find new creators. I don't want them in my feed if I don't already follow them.
Yeah.
Like why is this so difficult?
Yeah, I resisted Instagram for a long time until that's how my sister posts her photos from Japan. So I was like, all right. And it's only been recently that like, I'll see about making my own post. So otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't do too much.
Yeah, Bookworm Dream says Instagram is just ads and suggestions now, same as Facebook. Exactly.
Yeah.
It has become the thing I hate. And it has become that as soon as Facebook bought it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I know my husband and I were talking about how Netflix is now like, let's do a version where you get commercials. And we're like, but everybody likes Netflix because you don't do commercials. And then how are you going to do commercials with your original content? Because it's not structured that way.
Yeah, no. Also, the thing is that Netflix is falling prey to the idea like so Netflix is not actually hemorrhaging money,
Hmm.
okay? They are just not making as much of a profit. They are actually making profit, but they are falling short of the targets that the shareholders want.
Right.
And that is why they are now trying to introduce these new ways of making more money off the existing user base
Right. Well, it goes
because
back.
of shareholder capitalism,
Right. Well, it
which
goes back
is
to
stupid.
there's only a finite amount of money out there in the world. You can't get all of it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this whole push towards like you need like with any company like you need to have consistent growth every year. You need to have growth, more growth, and growth does not mean the same thing as profit.
Hmm.
So I just feel like this idea of like prolonged growth period is a complete pipe dream. It's not gonna last, and it's ultimately what is making like personally, I don't abhor capitalism as a system. I abhor this idea of hypercapitalism and what we in Finland call robbery capitalism, which essentially is like pushing this idea of growth and profit no matter the cost. Um, I would actually like my preferred system would be sort of like a hybrid between capitalism and socialism. So, but I just feel like there's this like whenever you add people in the mix who are like power hungry and greedy and want things and want to control things, you will eventually see a corruption of the system.
Hmm.
And that is what has happened with capitalism. That is what has happened in um, many like communist systems as well. You introduce a group of people that wants to control things and wants to hold on to power, and it corrupts an um, otherwise good idea, which is frustrating.
Yes. Um, that actually kind of just reminds me of the short story I read the other night in the collection, the Memory Librarian. There's a group of citizens. Anybody there can be a woman or non-binary, and then there's some people there who are like, but you're not our idea of what you should be, so you shouldn't
Mm.
be here. It's like, no, that's you don't get to decide what somebody else says they are. Sorry.
I mean, this whole idea, like putting limits on people's way of self-expression and self-identity, um, is another form of control. And I feel like there's this idea of yes, exactly. Um, there's this like I always like myself being like non-binary and gender fluid. Um, I am only now starting to like come into those terms and accept them as part of myself, because like for the longest time I felt like I couldn't be any of those things. For example, because I have a complicated relationship with, for example, medical transition for myself specifically, not for anyone else. I, and there is this weird thing, for example, now with regards to how people view the trans and non-binary community. And I feel like you constantly hear these things about people saying like all these like surgeries and stuff like that, and we are pushing people to do irreversible damage and whatnot. And I think that the only people who are pushing towards people doing that is people who won't allow there to be any sort of flexibility, any sort of fluidity. You want to put people in these rigid boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore, because people are as varied as there are people, not the same fixes and not the same solutions are going to work for everybody. Therefore, if you constantly put this idea that this is the only way forward for these individuals, therefore you are limiting their options, and therefore you are basically forcing a contingency of people to do the wrong choices because those choices would not be right for them, and they feel the pressure of conforming to this established path.
Right.
And that is what I struggle against. Like for the like I just feel it is this, it's grating to me. And I think that this idea that we need to somehow fit a specific box is like so limiting and so damaging
Mm-hmm.
to people.
Yeah. I remember being a teenager and everyone's like, well, you're not acting like a girl. And I'm like, well, the things you think are a girl are not my personality, so you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always like I feel like personality traits and the way people behave are not inherently gendered,
No, they're not.
but for some reason there's this weird fixation of making those
Right.
those
Yeah.
things, and it's just like um annoying to me, because like I have, for example, for myself, I have many traits, personality wise and otherwise, that are considered traditionally masculine, but that
Mm-hmm.
are also considered traditionally feminine. So it's but the idea that these behavior models are somehow feminine or masculine is made up.
Yes. Yeah. I know my husband and I have had this conversation because the roles within our family, he tends to like we describe him as the house husband because he does the cooking, he does the cleaning, he makes sure everything stays good here. I'm the one who goes out and works. I'm the one who makes sure all the bills are paid. And we're like, well, according to society, we flipped our roles, but it doesn't matter. This is our family. It's what works for us.
Yeah, and I mean, that's how it should be. Like, it should be the way that as family units and as groups of people, you kind of organize your roles within your specific family dynamics and stuff the way that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
and there should be a flexibility and also the idea that you can change those roles up whenever you want. Like I just like I'm struggling this against this idea of severe limitations on people's like individual choices and like bodily autonomy. So yeah.
All right. So are we ready for another sprint?
Yes, I want to finish this.
Okay. Another
I want
20
to see.
minutes?
I think we could do another 20 minutes since it has been established that there are people in the audience who enjoy the longer sprints. Also, I'm sorry for like veering into very philosophical and hard topics. When like it's a chill reading time, let's talk about pressing societal issues. I mean, I've had this for a long time, um, and I feel like my own process with coming to terms with and recognizing my own identity has taken up to 3 years now. So
Mm.
I don't feel like you should necessarily feel pressure to label yourself, but I just think personally for myself, finding that label has been helpful in making me feel more connected with that identity or that part of myself.
Yeah. I was like,
Not
that
a
actually kind of
cliffhanger.
reminded you. Huh? Oh, yeah.
Not a cliffhanger. Hope
Especially if it's
not.
a standalone. That would suck.
Better be a standalone. Damn it.
All right. So let's go ahead and start.
Yes.
It did it again.
Yes, it is. It is a very creepy cat.
Oh, I think I was just that involved in my book because all this action is happening, and I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, here the action just stopped now, like the battle is over, and now they're picking up the pieces. But yeah, confirmed deaths of a point of view character and a major side character.
Okay.
So I don't know what to think. And it's like this whole like theme around this book has been this idea of like trying to like basically trying to avoid this idea of is there destiny and is there magic,
Mm-hmm.
and also like this idea that like how these cycles of violence repeat themselves when people are sort of segregating each other from like there's this like two villages and they have this history of like basically the other village has systematically raided this other village from time to time in order like they have this blood feud going on, and there's this idea of like it being just like an ingrained part of the culture of that village, like they revere this idea of like these people who are just called swords who don't have to partake in any of the like agriculture or anything, like their function in the whole village is just to like essentially be the war force,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this resistance to change, and there is this like idea that they need to change, that this is not a tenable like situation going forward, like they can't like they need to adjust their ways. And there's also like this other village who has kind of become very like insular, and they have like basically like would say that they're very rich and there's like a lot of plenty and stuff, but they are very like turned inwards and unwilling to share any of it with like anyone else. And that's also a situation where their culture is kind of like like if they would just meet in the middle and be open to like working together and sharing their ideas with each other and intermingling, then the cycle of violence could be broken. So that's basically been the main theme of this whole book.
It's like change. Stop being pig-headed.
Yes.
Aw, I'm sorry, Maya.
That's like I feel like audiobook narration is like an art. There's like sometimes a like I feel like sometimes a good narrator can really like spice up an otherwise not interesting book.
Yeah.
But also, as in my experience, I was reading the Assassin's Quest, and there was this one part where I was forced to like multitask. So I was like, okay, I will just listen to the audiobook while I'm doing this other thing, because I wanted to know what happens. I didn't want to like stop reading the book at that point. So I was just like, okay, going to script, listening to the audiobook. And I have to say, I hate the guy who does Robin Hobb's audiobooks, especially the way he voices like female characters, and also how he voices the fool. I just hate this this like when like a narrator uses a voice for a like he makes all the women characters like these simpering like damsels in a way, and he also makes the fool to sound like this like high pitched and there's this like simpering lilt. Like it just makes me so uncomfortable. I'm like, I know that you are trying to voice a sort of another character, but why can't you talk like a person? Like it's just like
Is this how you view women? Is this how you view
exactly
people like
exactly
this? That's
exactly
why you're
it
choosing
made
that
me
word?
feel very uncomfortable.
Because yeah, I can't imagine Patience, I've only read, I think, the first book, but
Yeah.
she seemed very fierce to me. I can't imagine her with a simpering
Yeah.
voice.
I don't know how he would voice Patience, because this I was listening only to the third book and only parts of that as well. But Ketriken, like he for some reason gave her like a German accent, and also like made her like this like it just like I for me I felt like Ketriken is like she's strong, and she's also like more like she's strong and subdued in a way, but the way she was portrayed in that audio narration made me feel like I don't like this is I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if the author actually has any say in the audio production or if they're just like, it's done.
I mean, considering that I think I was it was it Shiran J. Zhao who had that problem where some author just recently had a problem where the audiobook production had said that they have hired a narrator, like an actor who can do Mandarin pronunciation. And what they had done, they had hired a Japanese voice actor who could not do Mandarin or any Chinese like pronunciation, and then all of the naming pronunciations in the book were like completely wrong, and like changed the meaning of the words and stuff like that, and it was really an untenable situation for them. And yeah, so they weren't in any way involved in the production after the initial like pitch of getting the production on the way. Like they were consulted on like, well, do you like the voice of this person? But during the actual production they weren't consulted.
Mm. So there you go, Maya. They probably weren't.
I mean, sometimes they're not even consulted for the covers of their own books if an author has a like a major publisher, like think like Simon and Schuster and stuff. And sometimes the author won't even have say in the cover design, aside from like giving a vibe check or something.
I I know some self published or indie authors who they do their own voiceover or they do their own audiobooks, so then they actually have more control. So I could see that.
I know Ellen Kushner has done audio narration of at least the Tremontaine series. That was kind of this joint like there's this like kind of, I don't know what the service is called, but it's basically like this it's a serial, like a season of stories that's written by multiple authors,
Okay.
but they're all like connected to a single universe. So Ellen Kushner had a series like that going on where like there were and I think it went on for like 2 or 3 seasons, but there were like multiple authors working on basically the same story together that they wrote like short stories around, and it was called Tremontaine.
Mhm.
And it's based in the Riverside universe that she created with like Swords Point and Privilege of the Sword and stuff. And I still haven't read I still haven't read the book. I have the hardback and I want to read it, but for some reason I always like just prioritize other things, and it's also like this thick.
That does, yeah. When you're like, okay, I can spend a month doing that book. I find that I like doing the big, thick books when I'm on vacation because then I have more time to actually focus on them versus reading them otherwise. I guess it's just because I only normally read for a couple hours at night.
Oh, I just got like a message from WorldCon that I need to respond to the volunteer like schedule, so I need to do that later.
All right. Are you wanting to do one more sprint and then that should take us up to like 2 hours?
Sure, let's do like we can also do more than 2 hours if like
Mhm.
because I'm in no hurry. I think
Okay. I was gonna
last
say you're
time,
the one up late, not me. So
I mean it's Saturday and I don't have to go anywhere tomorrow, so I can just stay up late.
that's fair. That's true.
So I
All
at
right.
least would want to finish this. So
All right. Do we want to do a 30-minute sprint?
yeah, like or 25 minutes. Let's go until the next like hour. Like so, what's the conversion? Like the next, it's gonna be 11 here, but like it's probably like what, 6 there?
Where I am, it's 2:30.
Oh,
2:33. Yeah. I'm in the
so
Midwest.
let's go until 3 your time
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do
for
it
this sprint.
right. I'm gonna do it for 25 minutes. So it'll be like 2 minutes short.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm having a feeling that I will be able to finish this and start on the next one.
Nice.
Finally.
All right. And we'll see if the cat scares us again.
Once again, I got startled.
Forgot it was muted. I was gonna say that one did not scare me actually.
I finished um, this one, so now I got to read a couple of pages of Lake Lore,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is a standalone. It didn't end in a cliffhanger.
Oh, good.
It ended in like if it kind of was open ended. Each character kind of ended in a state of a new beginning in a way. So it's like kind of like they're starting like each of them is like starting to move forward. Um, so yeah, but I do feel that the ending of this was a little bit rushed compared to the overall
Still.
whole. But it was actually pretty good. I am happily surprised because a lot of the Finnish books that I have read this year have either been like, this is okay, or this wasn't it.
Right. So now you're like, yes, this one.
Yes, now I can actually say that I have read a decent Finnish book this year.
That's good. From where I am, Sian, the main character, he was pulled into jail because somebody else did uh, magic, and in this society, magic is against the law, but yet they will allow alchemists as long as they do what they consider lesser magic. So it's more things to help society, like uh, light or within industry, but not just like grand magic. And somebody has lit him out, and now he's trying to figure out what the hell am I supposed to do, because he's from a lower class and knows that the inquisitors are going to keep looking for him. And I really am invested. I
It
think
sounds
I'm,
interesting.
yeah, no, very much. I am enjoying this. And I like, there's two primary perspectives, but they'll do little bits of other people. And it's nice to then get to see just the world from someone else's point of view. So I'm really enjoying it.
Ah, I am. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with the narrator. That sounds tough.
Oh. Then the e-reader going, okay, I'm done.
Yes, yes. So even the e-reader is like, okay, time to quit.
Yeah.
I am actually thinking that I might have to go to bed earlier than I thought because suddenly it's starting to dawn on me that it really is 11 and it's starting to be midnight soon. So I
That's
might have to like eat something and maybe wind down with an episode of K-drama and go to bed.
that's fine. Normally for me, like if I finish a book, then my body is like, oh, and now you're done reading for the day.
Yes, yes. I feel like that is exactly what is happening. I finished the thing and now my brain is just like, oh, and yes, we are not starting new things. Thank you.
Especially with your time of night, your body's probably like, okay, done.
Yes. There were like 2 episodes of Sandman that just got released. Like the first season is over now,
Uh-huh.
but they had like 2 bonus episodes that are based on like some of the short stories in the Sandman universe that kind of came out today as a sort of bonus. So I'm thinking that if not today, I'm going to watch them tomorrow.
Nice. Well, have fun with that, Maya.
I mean, dinosaurs are great. I'm still thinking like Rachel from Kalanadi did these triceratops during one of our like during a longer term, but I saw her do it in like one of our Stitch and Bitches, and now I have the pattern, so I might start a crochet project and do that triceratops myself because it's so stinking cute.
There you go. Yeah. I have a part-time job at a fabric craft store, and we had a family come in and they were like, oh yeah, my daughter made a dinosaur. And then when they went up to check out, I'm like, do you have a picture of the dinosaur? And she's like, yes, it's this nice huge, it's like the size of her like upper body. I'm like, Good job. That is awesome.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, I've been reading Witch Hat Atelier, the manga, for some time now. Like, I've read 9 volumes of it, or all the 9 volumes that have come out so far in English. And that series has consistently the best character designs, and just like the clothing of the characters is like tells part of the story. And I am now considering that I need to start up making a cosplay of one of the characters, and I was thinking that like I could start just making the props and accessories, because even if I don't finish the whole costumes, just having like one of the witch hats and stuff would be like a nice thing to do.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I still haven't watched the third season of Westworld either, so need to pick that up sometime. Oh,
I'm
oh.
notoriously bad when it comes to TV shows. I'll start something with my husband, and if it doesn't catch my attention, I'll be like, all right, you can finish it. And he'll finish it in 2 days, and it would take me a couple years.
I mean, I love TV shows, and I'm a notorious binger, because if I hyper focus on a thing, then I will just do that. I mean, I watched Arcane with my ex, like we watched it together, and then I watched it 2 separate times from start to finish, because I was just so fixated on the series, and I just didn't want the experience to end, so I kept finding excuses to rewatch episodes.
Yes. I know I put Arcane as my nomination for the long form presentation, and I was sad that it didn't get long form, but there's that one episode on short form, and I was
Yes,
like, and
I
yes,
I
that's my winner.
I did the same. I nominated a bunch of art. Like, I nominated basically the third episode, sixth episode, and the last episode for short form, and I nominated the whole first season as long form.
Mm-hmm.
So, and only one of those got on the short list, but at least it was good episode.
Yes, yeah. I was like, if Arcane hadn't been on there at all, I would have been like miscarriage of justice. Somebody has not
Yes,
been watching things.
yes. I mean, I'm honestly, like, if I'm going to be honest about like, I wasn't too excited about the short form category, because I just I don't think Loki should have been there, first of all, and I think Expanse is probably going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, Kristen, do you have any like reason, like why? Like, I understand that because it's a tie-in with League of Legends, it's like it might be hard, but I personally thought that even not being into like super deep with the League of Legends lore, the show is like very enjoyable. The first third of the series is a little bit difficult to get through, in a sense that it's like very much establishing the dynamic between all the characters and setting up things for like the rest of the first season. And then after the 3 episodes, the series does a time skip,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the series is kind of like going through the aftermath of what led up to the events of the first 3 episodes. Yeah, I could not stand Loki. This has been a starter of many a workplace argument, because a lot of my coworkers really enjoyed that series, and I'm here just being like, nope, was not for me.
I don't have Disney Plus, so I haven't watched it. I think that was for me the big thing with the short form is I just don't have those streaming services, so I haven't watched those TV shows, and I'm like, I don't know, especially when they get into like the further seasons. I'm like, that would take a lot of work to go and
Yeah,
watch the seasons.
I mean, I'm always like, art is very subjective, so like I am, for example, like things like BoJack Horseman and Rick and Morty and stuff like that. I am so allergic to the art style of those shows that I can't watch them.
Yeah.
But I'm also allergic to the humor style of many of those shows, so I can't watch them for that reason either. But so I understand that not feeling the aesthetic is a huge um, thing, because I do it myself all the time. Like I actively don't start watching shows that I feel like are drawn like not well. But I thought like Arcane was just so beautiful, because it looks like the whole way it is done, it is like an oil painting essentially. Like it is just watching digital matte paintings come to life, and it is so beautiful. I've been watching the sorry, suffocating on my own saliva. That is not fun.
Well, while you're breathing, I did think it was cool in the voter packet that the lower decks included, they actually gave the Hugo voters the episode in a digital form. And then I loved that they gave the script of the episode. I thought that was
Nice.
really cool.
I mean, I've been recently watching the League of Legends, or Riot Games is putting out a documentary right now on their YouTube channel for Arcane and how it was made.
Hmm.
It's basically like Arcane bridging the rift. So it's like I think it's going to be a 6th-part documentary mm, about how they made it, how they made the show,
Mhm.
and in preparation for like season 2. And it's just been so interesting to watch how close the show came to failing even before it got like
Oh,
released. Like
interesting.
like the like basically they made the pilot, and the executives Riot were like, no, we're not gonna let you continue, and then you need to pivot and make this better somehow. And then during that, they kind of, because they had to like let Fortiche kind of go from the Arcane project, then they like signed up Fortiche to do all these like music videos, and that actually like made them give out some of the better like League of Legends like music animations and stuff like that, which wouldn't have happened if Arcane had gotten off the ground straight off the bat, which was interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up because that my bachelor's is in film and media studies, so I love those type of
Yes,
documentaries, like behind the
like
scenes, how was this created?
they go into detail about like the voice acting process, the writing process. Like there were like some serious like interesting bits about like what the focus of the show was, like the show like, and how they brought in these writers who actually basically like fixed it and stuff. It was like really interesting. So it's like 3 episodes in now. I'm considering nominating it next year for best related work, because it's
And you
like
said that's just
really
on
cool.
YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on the League of Legends official YouTube channel.
I'm gonna go look for it.
It's been really nice. The episodes are like something like half an hour long each.
Okay, awesome. I got it booked up for later. That's kind of what I do on my Sundays is I just like watching things.
I mean, I can show you. No, wait. I can't show you because it's weighted now so that all the washi tape lays flat. But I spent like a good part of my day today um, setting up pages, because I like to do like I'm going to do like a travel journal
Okay.
for Chicago. So I basically have this bullet journal, and I have set it up to have like about 40 pages for like all the days. I'm gonna glue in some photos and paraphernalia and stuff. I'm gonna basically scrapbook it and write down my thoughts on each of the days. And then there's separate entries for like greetings. I'm gonna ask my friends to like write in some notes, and then panel notes and stuff. So I was redecorate like or pre-decorating it so that I don't have to like take all the like washi tapes with me.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm only planning on taking like maybe 1 or 2 rolls of washi tape so that I can glue stuff in, and otherwise just a couple of pens. So, but yeah,
Well, that's really cool. That's a nice way to commemorate the trip. Have you
yeah.
ever been to Chicago before?
This is my second time in the US, and the first time was in Las Vegas. So that is not a very realistic representation of what the United States is like, I feel.
I was gonna say only time I've been to Las Vegas, we didn't go to the strip, so I wouldn't know.
I mean, the only reason we went to Las Vegas was for DEF CON, which is a hacker convention.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so it's also like a very different experience than if you would go to just like gamble or stuff, because we basically were at a convention and we were doing like lots of activities like picking locks and stuff. So, and listening to panels about cybersecurity.
As my dad's family, they settled around the Chicago area. They're in the suburbs outside. So as a kid, we always went at least once a year. And they would always like, well, let's go do things in the city. So then we take the train. And I always was like, this is fun. So went to all the museums.
Yeah, we're going to go to like at least the Shed Aquarium and Field Museum. Those at least were the things that we were planning on doing as a group, which I'm
Yeah.
really excited about. And I'm just excited to like go somewhere because it's been so long. Like last time I was anywhere was in Dublin in 2019, and after that, the only place where I have been able to travel to has been Tampere, which is a city in Finland that's about like 4 hours to like 2 to 3 hours away from where I live, and that's not exactly like a prime tourist location.
Fair enough. Yeah. I know a few years ago there was this book called Micro Adventures and talking about checking things out closer. And then with the pandemic, and I was like, well, I should definitely do those because I can then explore more of what's around me.
Yeah. Phew. Shall we wrap it up? Or
Yeah.
shall we have like a very, very short sprint still? Or do we just want to let people go for the evening?
I think we can let people go for the evening.
Thanks
So you
for
want,
sorry.
no, go ahead. I was going to say, you want to say if you have anything coming up for people to check out, go ahead.
I'm since I am planning for the trip that's coming, I might not have time to film, but I have tried to schedule some time for filming tomorrow so that I can have at least like one video up next week. I don't know yet what that will be. Probably the 25 questions tag, because that just seems easy and also gives me an excuse to sort of talk about some life updates that have been happening. So that's probably going to happen. I was going to do a video on volunteering at conventions, but now I have decided to post it or film and post it after I come back from Worldcon, because I am going to be volunteering there as well. So I want to talk about that experience in that video as well. So
All right.
I have
I'm looking forward to
postponed
that one.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I have my weekly wrap up that comes out each week. I have filmed what I ranked for the novels and novellas for the Hugos. I just need to sit down and edit. And I also have a book review for The Unbroken, which is long overdue, that I filmed and I have to edit.
I feel like for me at least, filming is the hard part. Like I need like when I sit down and film, after that it's like easy because I love editing. But like getting the like executive dysfunction to sort of clear off so that I can just film and
Yeah.
and like get over the hump, so to speak. That is
Yes.
that is the hard part.
Yeah, that I'm the same way, and that's why I always try to at least film two, so then I have something like to work on if I don't feel like filming it someday.
Yes.
Right. And then also for the new Releaseathon, we do have another live show coming up on the 26th, which is Friday. I'm not sure which channel it's going to be on, but once I do know, I'll put it on the link for the description for this one. I don't know, Kristen, if you had decided where the next live show will be.
Well, that can probably be announced either on a community tab or on Twitter, but we will definitely let you know the moment we know.
I didn't know if she was still in the comments. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for coming and reading, and thank you, Rhea. This was a lot of fun. I watched your videos for a while, and I enjoy watching your group chats with the Stitch and Bitch crew, and so it's been fun to actually get to talk with you.
I mean, same. I feel like it's been really fun to like hang out, especially like with the. I feel like during this readathon, planning it and talking in Voxer and stuff. I feel like I've had so much fun building up a sort of community around as host. So it's been really nice. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Right. Well, everyone, have a good night.
Bye bye.